exploiting you.
That answers the question I was about to bring up as a follow-up question.
Okay.
Of the balance of, I heard God to give my car. The Lord said,
Give.
Why have we not heard God to read the book of Romans and understand it? Why have we not heard God to understand systematic theology? Why have we not heard God to understand sound hermeneutical principles on how to interpret scripture correctly? Why do we only hear God when it comes to car, land, money, bank account? Why do we hear God when it comes to wristwatch?
So you are saying God cannot speak in that dimension?
No,
sir?
it shows that we are so materialistic. We have set ourselves up in an environment. We live in a highly materialistic climate in the church. Everything is about externalism. Why have we not heard God to forgive each other? We have not heard God to walk in love. We have not heard God anytime I hear God, it's going to cost you money. Every time I hear God, it's costing somebody money.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So something is not right.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Adding to that, question number 10.
Yeah.
Okay, how can I know the correct calculation of my income to tithe?
Okay.
Am I to tithe on the gross
Yes.
or net of my income?
Bankers, companies.
So this question is very interesting.
Yeah.
And this is one question. It is a conundrum. A conundrum is when you kind of cause confusion, when you walk yourself into a corner that you cannot come out of. This question becomes a relevant question because people are trying to implement something under the Mosaic covenant, under the covenant of Mount Sinai. You now bring it into the church and you try to implement it in a time and in an era. Because in the time of the Mount Sinai covenant was given under a very different environment. It was a theocracy. God was king. There was a tribal system. It was the 12 tribes, the children of Jacob. The land they were living on was on a covenant land, the land of promise. There was a covenant that had terms of blessing and cursing. The festivals and even the tithing. There are 3 types of tithing: the sacred tithe, the festival tithe, and the poor tithe. And the festival tithe coincided with the feasts of Israel. It coincided with the agricultural cycle of Israel. So, when Israel was practicing tithing, they did not have this concern of gross or net. But you and I have this concern of gross and net because we are in today's system of economy. We earn money, not agricultural produce. Mostly earn money. In that money, the government takes tax. In that money, some of us have collected loans. So at the end of the month, on paper, your basic is, let's say, 50,000 naira. But what enters your hand at the end of the month is not 50,000 naira. So what do you tithe on? You get confusion. This confusion, people who are working in the market, there are some people who are not end of the month salary earners, but they are business people. So the confusion becomes so great. How do I calculate my tithe? That confusion is because what you are not supposed to practice from the old covenant, you are trying to practice it. That's why I say it is a conundrum. The simple issue is honor the Lord and stop worrying about your net and your gross. Stop worrying about your net and your gross. Honor the Lord.
Okay.
Whatever the Lord puts in your heart, whatever look like honor, whatever you can do willingly without grudgingly, whatever you can do in obedience to God. that your heart tells you to do in appreciation for the salvation of your soul, appreciation of the beauty of the gospel, doing the work of God out of love, that is what between you and God.
Okay.
Do it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's awesome answer. All right, question 11.
Yes.
This is the brother to this question.
Okay.
And I love it. It says, should students, I've come for you, and other dependents pay tithe out of their pocket money or stipends?
So this is still another conundrum, and the sister or brother or cousin to this other question, because we are trying to make fit what does not belong, and then it now accentuates the exploitation that has been going on. Children collect school fees and go and pay tithes, or go and pay vows, or go and do what they are not supposed to do. So school fees is school fees. Pocket money is
Pocket money.
So it is, we should not exploit people just because we want to raise money.
Oh.
Wow.
To be honest with you, I have been in very crazy settings where I've gone to church before, and they are calling for offering, and they are calling for giving, and it's like, put your hand in your left hand, in your left pocket, put your hand in your right pocket, bring out everything. Today we are giving sacrificially. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to be angry. Well, give to the Lord. Give until it hurts. We have these sayings in the church. Give until it hurts. That's when you know it's working.
Even David said, I will not give to the Lord what does not. In the Bible, they quote it. So how do you reconcile most of these things? Because David even said so.
Do we start to the context of what David said? That David was king? My brother, do you know David was king? David could give Araunah, the Jebusite, wanted to, he respectfully and cut out of courtesy, wanted to give his threshing floor to David. Okay. And David said, no, I will not. It's going to be, it is disrespectful to God for me to sacrifice what doesn't cost me. And David, you know how much David paid? David gave him 600 shekels of gold. Yes.
So that means we quote that scripture out of context. Is that what you're trying to say?
I am saying that, I am saying that David was not like the widow woman who was on her last meal. In fact, you bring up an important issue. How about the widow who, but I think it's this thing is in, I think it's in the Synoptic Gospels, where Jesus, I know it's in the Gospel of Mark. I believe it's in the Gospel of Luke also. I don't know whether it's in Matthew, where Jesus was at the temple looking at the treasury, and people were coming and giving what they had, and a widow gave her last mite. And then we praise the widow. In that story, that widow is a hero. But have we asked ourselves, if that widow gave all her living, when they went back home, how far? What did the widow prepare for her son? When they went back home, how far? So, I have read commentary, and there are conclusions that so we have made that widow the hero. Meanwhile, when we read that context correctly, Jesus was actually angry and upset with the religious leaders of that time, because the religious leaders had so perfected exploitation to the point that a widow would give up her last dime. And Jesus, yes, he acknowledged that what that woman gave giving her last dime was more than what all of these rich men gave, because they had more to spare. So David is in the position of those rich men. He had more to spare. But it would have been wrong of him to give nothing what did not cost him anything. So David could give, and David had more to spare. But anyway, I brought up this widow. It's something we will talk about it. another time. I'm sure some of our comments, some of our audience are going to take me up on it in the comment section. Take me up on it. We will continue that conversation.
All right. So, in other words, you are saying that students and other dependents shouldn't tithe out of their pocket money. If they are not earning money, you can't tithe. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
So tithe can only come from your earnings, not what you are getting.
Sorry.
So how do we? Now you have children.
Yes.
Do you teach them to tithe?
Good. So you know what? You know what is interesting? This saying. I know this is hard for all of us. We need to learn to unlearn.
Okay.
And relearn. We are all going to go through that struggle to unlearn what we have learned in the past decades. We already have this word tied in our vocabulary. I am making the case that we need to remove it from our vocabulary. We need to remove it from our vocabulary because we have used it to cause so much damage. It does not belong in the New Testament church. Let us talk about honor the Lord. Let us talk about willful generosity. Let us talk about give as you have purpose in your heart. That is what New Testament scriptures teach. But to your question, please don't enjoy yourself in giving. Don't enjoy yourself in giving. If you are given school fees, pay your school fees. If you are given pocket money and live at your means.
Money.
So
what do some persons choose out of that pocket money to honor the Lord?
Okay, let them do it at their own risk, at their own. Let it not be that we have created a system where we exploit the poor.
Okay. That seems.
If somebody has chosen, let's say that is his choice. Somebody has chosen to do something sacrificial, fine. I recall a time in my life where I was struggling with this thing. Oh my God. I can write this book. I have lived here. I've lived here before. I have struggled this struggle before. I've had this confusion. I've lived here. So I understand this mindset. And I have done something crazy, but it was my choice and my decision to do something crazy.
Awesome.
On my own. Nobody asked me to do it. I did something crazy to show my love for God. Yeah. So if you want to do something crazy, know that you are doing something crazy out of your love for the Lord, not because somebody is